Hi guys, it's CB here with CBTB. With me is Tep. And on our last video, I told you all that I attended a pre-release for The Hobbit, and I'm very glad that during that pre-release, I was able to win a total of 3 rounds. So for my LGS, that meant I won a total of 3 packs. So we have 3 Hobbit packs, and Tep and I thought we'll crack them open. Tep, what's our game plan here?
Well, open the first one and end with the third one, I think.
Okay, let's do that. So then we'll switch around and see how this goes. All right.
Yeah, I think that, you had the experience of opening the packs during the pre-release, so you've probably seen several of the comments and uncomments. So we'll do a relative quick fire compared to other openings that we've done, so we're not going to go over each one. Yeah, open the first pack and then call out when you see something that seems at first glance interesting to you for flavor, mechanics, or rarity, and we'll see where it goes. Hope we're
Yep.
opening. We might open a shiny dragon. Who knows?
Yep, very cool. All right, well, I'll go with that. And I'm so happy that, and it was by accident, I ended up with three different looks to this. I love that they don't all look exactly the same. So let's start on the left here with the elves, and let's see what we get. All right, so we're not going to do the thing where we shuffle them around and stuff because I don't know exactly how that works. So, all right, so let's see. We had Ravening Warg, Plunder, the Trollshaws, Vow to Erebor, Quarrel, a bunch of ones I haven't seen here. Smog's Fury. That's nice. Smog's Fury. This one's I think is like it's like a bit of a trick. Let's talk about it more later. I think that's more like a trick. The Old Thrush. I like this one. This is a great common. I like it for its ability to one. It's flying, and then when it enters, it also gains your life and allows you to put a land card in, which is great because there's actually surprisingly few things that fly in this particular set. I noticed. I'll put that aside. Gandalf, the Wandering Wizard. Nice. Duskwatch Hunter. It says it can't be blocked by tokens, so I don't know about that. Here we have Bolg of the North. Um, yeah, I didn't get to play this one, but it's a 5/5, so this would be something notable as far as I'm concerned. And then we have Eagle's Rescue, Woodland Weave Master, Gandalf Goblin's Bane is our mythic for this particular set. We got a mythic. This is a good one. Definitely this one. Like for Gandalf says, whenever I cast a non-creature spell, Gandalf gets +1/+1. And that's and on top of that, he has Flame Shaper. So that's a good one. We'll definitely put that one aside. Patient Instructor. I didn't get to play this card because I didn't get to play white and blue for the humans, but this is a good card for that. I'll put that aside. At least as my took. Mirkwood. Definitely always good to have a dual land. I like the Mirkwood. Um, Good thing on that. And we have a Bird Soldier. Okay. How do you want to do? Should we go straight into the second deck, or do you want to give your thoughts on these first?
The big one that you opened there, obviously for rarity, is Gandalf as a mythic. Looks like fun to build around in different formats, like the wolf that can't be blocked by tokens. But in general, like I'm partial to the wolves in this in the Hobbit set. They look very fun. They can go in different decks or a dedicated wolf deck. Gandalf having another version, not surprising. They're all interesting, and depending on the part of the story where you're at in The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, they make sense. Bulk, of course, he's actually, as I understand it, he's one of the signposts for when you're drafting or in the pre-release, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a signpost if you're going for red, black.
It's a nice pack with lots of utility if you're drafting. No removal, not really. But yeah, otherwise a cool pack.
Oh, very cool. So let's go into our second pack. You want Gandalf or you want the dwarf and the bear?
Let's do Gandalf first.
Sweet. Gandalf it is. Okay. Yeah, kids, when I was doing crack with your uncle. Cracking packs. All right, here we go. Starting with Attercop. Okay, now this is a common spider, and I have to tell you, like in pre-release or in draft, this thing kills, quite literally. Reach and Death Touch, and it's got landfall. So even though it's a small 2/1 spider, I had two of these in one of my rounds, and it's so much fun to play. So great card. Love this card. Pinecone Strike. Oh, cool. Okay, so I think this is a good instant. So I can choose one or both. Pinecone Strike deals 3 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. And I can also destroy target artifact token. Great removal. Great, great removal. Love that. Reverend Howl. Yep, I showed that off in our other video. Pretty cool. Yeah, you can target a player. This was for my winning win in the pre-release, so definitely good card. Um, oh, confiscate and be bother. Yep, another great instant. I can counter target spell unless its controller pays 4 mana, draw 2 cards, and then discard a card. Also, I would say excellent removal. Art on point. Lake Town Lookout. I don't know, I haven't seen this one. When this creature dies, recruit. Well, for a 1 mana 1/1, and you get to recruit when it dies. That seems like a pretty decent card to me. Wood Elves. When this creature enters, search your library for a forest card, put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. I mean, these are all commons, but this is a great utility card, especially if you're a landfall deck. I'll keep that solidly here. Dory, Bearer of Friends. Okay, so yes, one of the dwarf cards, excellent. This is the one I also played during my pre-release and for my final play. Got Trample, and we can create a treasure token when he enters. So far we're doing pretty well on the commons and uncommons for this particular deck. Rage into the Valley. I haven't seen this one. You draw a card and lose 1 life, and you get to amass goblins too. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to put this also in this pile. This this whole pile's good. Okay, we have another bulk, another signpost. The Black Arrow. Okay, so I want to hear your thoughts on this Black Arrow. I opened quite a few of these during the pre-release, and here's the thing. So it's a flash equipment. That's great. It says when this Black Arrow enters, it deals 1 damage to any target. If a dragon is dealt damage this way, destroy it. Okay, that's pretty cool, right? Especially if you're playing Commander, get lots of people out. And it says the equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has reach. Also good. And it only costs 1 to equip. Here's my big beef with this card, and I'm sure other people have said it. You can't kill Smaug with this.
What do you mean you can't?
Well, I'm sure you can kill some of the Smaugs with it, but the big post card for Smaug is where he's basically indestructible, where he can't be killed basically.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
So either I'm getting that wrong or it's a little weird, but otherwise it's a decent card. I just ended up not really playing it much. So I'll keep looking through it while you look up what you have, and we'll put it here on the side. Next is Eagle's Rescue. Again, another one I hadn't seen. Enchant creature. So it's an enchantment, so not as fast as we want. It costs a lot. Um, but beautiful art. And you can return it from the graveyard.
Yeah, so regarding the Smaug, you're just talking about the impenetrable, right? The one that
That's the
comes
one. Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the scene box. Uh, but the one in the scene box is not in the set, as I understand it. It only comes in the scene box, so it should be a non-issue for limited play. You can't kill Smaug. That's probably one of the very few dragons in Magic the Gathering that you cannot kill with the Black Arrow. There's a bunch of things you can kill with 1 damage to the face.
Oh, oh, absolutely. No, it's very great. I mean, I've played the Dragons of Tarkir so much, Tarkir Dragonstorm. It's definitely a cool card for that. So I'm sure it'll find its way into something when I'm fighting someone there. But just to say, that's a fun situation, an interesting situation that you have Smaug, and then you can't, Smaug the Impenetrable, and then you can't kill him. All right, let's go on. No way. Look at that. We got an Arkenstone. That's our mythic for this day. That is so cool. I've been wanting to open that the entire time.
And now
Wow.
you have. Awesome.
Now I have it. That is awesome. Look at that. Okay, so the Arkenstone. Search your library for a legendary creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. That's for the adventure that this has. And then creatures I control get +1/+1 at the beginning of your end step draw card. I mean, for 5 colorless. Beautiful to put in. Very cool card. Definitely a cool card. I'm so glad I got this. Ah, so
Very
happy.
nice.
And then we have Goblin Town Flunkies. Okay, in the play, if you do a pre-release, you do sealed, this is great. A little 1/1 for two with haste, and then when it enters, you get to start building your Goblin army for one. So really, it costs two, and it gives you two bodies, each one once. So that's really, really cool. I like that. And we have an Elven King Halls for a land, plus another token here.
Okay, so the black arrow, I think you're focusing only on the one damage as to how good it is. This is an equipment that gives the creature +1/+1 and reach. So anything can block someone else's Smaug. If you only look at it as removal for dragons, it'll make sense if you're playing a dragon-heavy event, like for example the Hobbit or Dragons of Tarkir, or a Chaos draft that includes more dragon sets. But otherwise, it's a +1/+1 in reach, which will invalidate someone else's flyer, right? Or at least be able to trade or interact with that. So I think the Black Arrow, for especially limited play, is a very good defensive piece and on occasion removal, because 1 point of damage does do a lot. The flunkies, I think is even better than you made it out because it has haste. So on turn two, you pay two, you get two bodies out of it, and you can swing in for one damage. Might be cheeky, but still, it's a 1/1 with haste. It has its place. The Arkenstone is obviously the big hit. Very much a fan of its adventure, its effect of antheming your whole board and drawing your card at the end of the turn. It does everything for a very reasonable price.
Yeah.
While the other stuff is very cool, if I was drafting or building limited around this, I would probably take the smaller bodies, like the flunky or the town guard, as one of my picks, or hoping they will come back around because I see more value there than is what is just at face value.
If I had to pick one for like a draft or something, it would definitely be Attercop before anything else, just because it actually has the death touch and reach and landfall. So really great. But yeah, count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's the whole pack. What a great pack. Look at that. That's an amazing pack for all these
Yeah,
different things.
the pine cone assault. Yes, pine cone. What? Yeah, the one that's a removal in red. The first one you open, the pine cone
Strike.
throw. What? Strike. There you go. Very flavorful and very useful. Yeah, depending on the format, the removal is more important than others. But I'm very happy that you opened the Arkenstone. I mean, quite honestly, it's probably one of the better mythics in the set.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So much, so cool. I love it. Yeah, so let's go into the third pack. Let's wrap this up, see how we're doing. So no choice now. We have to go for the bear. I'm pretty sure this is actually Beorn, not just any bear, because he's wearing clothes. So let's look at that.
Well, here's to hoping he's in there.
Yeah, that would be very cool. All right. Okay. So we start out with a Wargling. Ironhill Stalwart. That one's a pretty cool card. It has a reach and trample. Expensive though, so it's on 5. When this creature enters, you can also attach target equipment. So if you have already equipment on deck, you don't have to pay the equipment cost. So pretty good for that. Bilbo's Deathly Slice. Yeah, this is a cool card. I never got to play it. The downside is you need two blacks, right? So it's hard to have it in early play. And also if you're going multicolored, then you can have a challenge there. That happened to me. But it's a very cool card and simply destroys target creature. Good one. Um, Long Leg Nuisance. Okay, a rare flying creature in this deck. And when it enters, you get to recruit. So I didn't play the blue-white, but this would be humans, blue-white. Costs 4. It's definitely a flying body, but I'll put it over here. The Askaroth Garrison. I pulled many of these. I never got to play him, actually. But it's the Escarol's garrison's power is equal to the number of creatures you control. So it was a bit of a weird set because normally creatures I think green, but because the blue-white deck, in this case the human deck, actually has it, but you can recruit. This is pretty good because you can make this quite strong very quickly. And plus, when it enters, you get to recruit. So solid card, just a little expensive, so you got to play it a little bit later. Dwarven Short Sword. Okay. Pretty good. 4 mana. When this equipment enters, create a 2/2 red dwarf creature token, then attach this equipment to it. Yeah. It's a theme for this deck. You have it for the goblins, you have it for this. Equipments that enter and right away allow you to create a creature that you can attach this to. Very nifty. Even though it costs 4, you get a lot out of it. Excellent. A Hobbit Hole. Hobbit Hole, again, allows you to find a basic land card. In a landfall deck, doubly good. Plus, if you have halflings, that allows you halfling cycle. Definitely positive. Here we go. Here's the counter to that. The Goblin Plate Mail. This is when the equipment enters, amass goblins 1. So it works like the Dwarven Short Sword, but for goblins. I've played this quite a few times. It's a neat strategy for a deck. Dwarven Mauler. Equip abilities you activate that target this creature cost 2 less to activate. Yeah, so there's a theme here, right? Only pay 1 to get a 2/1 and have the ability to just basically attach anything for 2 less. So it's cool for that. I hadn't played it. I definitely would have played that in my red deck. Chief Wark. Okay, I want to hear your thoughts on this. So it's got Menace, which is cool. You have to be blocked by 2 creatures, and it's got Ferocious. When you attack while you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you draw a card and lose 1 life. I did not play it because while the Menace is cool, the whole thing that you needed in like in the environment that it was, right? It doesn't give me a 4/4, which I need for the Ferocious. It's a 3/3, and it costs me 2 different kinds of mana. I deemed it too expensive and a bit of a trap when building a sealed deck in for my Ferocious deck. What are your thoughts?
Well, I like the card. Card draw that's built in is always good, especially repeated ones. Yes, you're right. The wolves mostly are 2/2 or 3 something. But you would combine them with other effects that grow, right? There's even some elves and landfall triggers that can put counters on stuff. Um, well, really, on its own, it's not good and limited because but it's something that you can build around depending on what you open. In this pack, not so much.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so I like it. But yeah, it's something that you would have to pick up early and then make work. So you build around with the remainder of the packs in draft. You don't. I wouldn't consider it if I don't have much that deals with power 4 or greater. So it's very, very situational. But as a card in itself, a 3/3 that has evasion in Menace is very good. And the built-in card draw conditional on 2 conditions, right? You need a 4/4 creature and you need to be attacking. But still, it's something that you can build around depending on what you open. I like it.
Yeah. So in my case, I think I cut it simply because I was looking at what I had and it just didn't make the cut for me. But yeah, it can be very good. Put it aside. So it's situational in this case. Dwarven Mattock for 2. When there's equipment interest, attach it to target dwarf you control. Right. So this would be one of those things where like we wouldn't even need it for this because it says when this equipment enters, attach it to target dwarf you control. So it would be a little bit wasted on the dwarven mauler. Like pick any other dwarf because this guy also has already has 2 less. So it would be wasted on this one. But literally any other dwarf where you normally have to pay for it, it's fine. Plus it gives you +2/+2. So you can save some stuff. Yeah, it's definitely an equipment deck also, like an equipment set, I think. Uncover the moon letters. That's our rare. Now, I haven't played this, but let's see. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may draw X cards, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. If you do, discard 2 cards. Yeah, so since I didn't play blue at all, but that seems pretty good, except a little expensive, right? Because you have to discard 2 cards at the end.
That'll be fine, I think. Like discarding cards is okay. So I don't think this is really meant for limited play. I think this is designed for other formats. It's for big spell slinger or artifact decks because it says non-creature spell.
Right. So yeah, so I think I definitely would if I had gotten this, I definitely would not have played it in the decks that I ended up building. Of course, I wasn't in blue, but still, yeah, I agree. Different formats.
Let's assume you have this on the battlefield and then you play the Arkenstone, right?
Hmm.
Then you would draw 5 cards and discard 2. But if you play the Dwarven Mattock, then you would draw 2, discard 2. So there's definitely something to be said about it being value because you can put stuff in the graveyard that you can bring back, right? Return a card from your graveyard or just extra lands that you don't need. So you cycle through your deck finding an answer. Um, but given what we've seen so far of the set, at least in the 3 packs we opened here, the non-creature spells, many of them are 1, 2, and 3 cost of the ones that we've seen right now. So you don't really get super much value. You would have to need to build around it. In the humans deck, you have that theme of recruiting, which is draw and discard, and depending what you discard, you create the soldier. So I simply don't think that this is meant for limited play, like a draft or sealed. Um, but I can see this working in other formats where you can use and abuse this much better.
Yeah, I agree. So here's the other cards you called out. So definitely in combination with things, and that's in the end a big part of Magic, right? You think about not just what does the card do individually, but how does it play off of others. So fair point there. Okay, let's look at the last few cards here. Next one is the Esgaroth Garrison in foil, which we already had previously, and then we have a forest and a token. So that's the sum total of our cards here. And again, I would say if you look at this again, this is our previous deck. So here we have 3 cards that I judged, maybe not immediate auto includes for me, but they all have good points too. And I say this, look at all these cards, which I would definitely put here in like the quote unquote positive pile. So I definitely say, my goodness, it is a lot of fun opening the Hobbit. It really is. Like you open a pack and you're just like, yeah. I mean, we could have just been really lucky, but I have to say this was kind of my experience at the pre-release as well. You open a pack and it's just fun to open. It's a lot of good stuff in there, and then it makes the mythic rare or the rare even more interesting a lot of the times.
It's like the usability of those cards. Like if we ignore flavor of the Hobbit for a minute, but just what these things do. Some of these are rather efficient. Bilbo's Deadly Slice is essentially a reskin of a previously existing card called Murder,
Right,
right? So it's exactly the same, it just has a different name. It's unconditional removal, sure, with a double colored pip. Uh, but then that's something you have to consider. Can I actually play this? In 3 colors, it's much more difficult than in 2 colors. But if you're playing a 1 color deck for some reason, which is black, then it's an auto include, right? In a limited environment. I like all of these cards, and the card advantage cards are more attractive than most of them, right? So the flyer, the 3/1 flyer that enters and recruits, essentially for 4 mana, you get a 3/1 flyer, a card, and potentially an extra dude, right?
right,
Uh,
yeah.
and that so there is value there, which is much more efficient than previous environments for this, right? So even at the common and uncommon slot, you have very powerful things depending on what you build into. This particular pack was very much white red. And I would, yeah, if I was drafting, I would take one of those that draw me cards and potentially creates me a dude. A secondary consideration would be the equipment that create a dude when they enter, because dudes that just show up and they bring an axe, awesome.
Yeah.
I have that
Or
in
an
my
axe that brings a
Final
dude,
Fantasy.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a dude that brings an axe. In this case, it's literally it's a sword that comes attached to a dude that didn't exist before. So, you know, yeah,
And
nothing bad
and
to say
and here's
here.
another thing which comes new with this deck. They now have hone counters, which I believe is new to Magic, right? Hone counters are now counters you can put on artifacts, like on artifacts themselves to hone like an axe or a trusty spatula, whatever it is. So it essentially counts as like +1 counters for an equipment. So that's really cool because you can actually improve an equipment, and even if the creature dies, those counters stay with that equipment. So that's also really cool. That makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, haven't actually seen any of the cards that do that, but that's it makes sense that that would exist at some point. Yeah, just get out a flint and steel and start a fire, or a sharpening rock or whatever it's called. I think you did really well in those packs regarding rares that you found, like the Arkenstone and the reading the moon letters are something that you didn't have before. So that's great to have. I really like the Arkenstone as a card, as a concept. It's just very efficient, and it could be costed better, but it's colorless mana that you use for the artifact. In Commander, you do need to have white because of the adventure that's on it, but it's not that difficult to cast the Arkenstone itself, and then it's just +1/+1 and a card at the end of your turn. It's essentially being the monarch without fear of getting the monarch taken away from you, right? So
Hmm.
that's
That's
awesome.
true.
I think the moon letters is something that I would put into one of my artifact or spell slingers decks because it doesn't say instant sorcery or artifact. It says non-creature spell. So you can make it interact with enchantments. You can make it interact with instant sorceries or artifacts. It can be used in a variety of strategies. It could be efficient in a deck where you do discounts, like you cast a spell that is made cheaper by a different card, so its mana value is high, but what you actually pay is little, and then you use it to replenish your hand. So there are ways to go with it. So I like those cards,
Yeah.
and to build a deck around even just these few packs, I would go red, white.
Yeah. And so, by the way, just a quick thing. So, we didn't open one here, but if you go back to our pre-release video for the Hobbit, so Dwalin Weapon Master most prominently has the Hone ability on it, where he says, whenever Dwalin enters or attacks, put a hone counter on each equipment you control. And then on the pre-release thing, actually, you come, they always have these little punch outs, right? So one of these punch outs literally is just like the picture of an axe with like a +1/+0 counter on it. I would definitely agree with you that the top pull is the Arkenstone on this one, right? Like that's just by far our most, I guess, valuable inclusion, right? Probably followed closely by Gandalf Goblin's Bane, right? And in terms of like, oh, these are mythics or rares, and they are just very powerful. Both of these are mythics. But then we had a number of other really good cards, including Bilbo Slice and Longleg Nuisance, which are not really like big opens. They are commons, but they are good in this set.
Again, debatable, but depending on the metric you're comparing it to. A
Hmm.
very fun opening. I would recommend getting the cards. They all look
Yeah.
fun, and the mechanics are well developed. So playing sealed or playing limited with them seems like a pleasurable experience. And then if you're one of those players like me who play more in the commander sphere, well, there are a lot of options and ways that you can go with them. So would recommend.
So yeah, so thanks for joining us today for this little pack opening, and I'm happy to share in my winnings with all of you, with you, Tab, to see what came out of the pre-release. It was a lot of fun. Thanks everyone for joining us today. If you have any comments, complaints, and want to subscribe, I'm not sure why you'd want to subscribe after you've just complained, but either way, we welcome it all. And thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
See you next time.